To God be the glory. This is Pastor Nikki, your favorite fruit inspector. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. I'm coming on here this evening and I want to share my testimony with you all. I come on and I tell you things to encourage you, but I want to share a testimony and I hope that it helps someone. In 2010, I went to the hospital to deliver a preterm baby. She was born at 7 months, which is around about 32 weeks, 31, 32 weeks, something like that. Immediately when I got to the hospital, excuse me, they told me that I was going to have a C-section because my water broke. There was no time for anyone to scrub up, to wash up, to come in there with me while I was going to be having the procedure done. So I went in by myself. When I went in to have the procedure done, they gave me what was called an epidural. I had never had a C-section done. So, but I had an epidural before, and I told the anesthesiologist, I said, I'm still feeling quite a bit of pain. Isn't the epidural to take the pain away? And he said, it'll work in a minute, very rude. So they put the sheet up between me and the surgery, between the surgeon. And as they put it up, um, I told them I couldn't breathe when they laid me down. I was having a hard time breathing. I am severe asthmatic, but it was something different about the problems that I was having breathing. So I was telling the doctor, I can't breathe. Something is wrong. And so they put the cannula in my nose, the oxygen. And at the same time they did that, they went to cut across the bottom of my stomach. And I said, ow, that hurts. And immediately, boom, everything went black. They put me out. Actually, they put me to sleep. So I was put to sleep as my baby girl was being born. I don't know how many hours went by, but I woke up. And when I woke up during surgery, I said, I can't breathe. Boom, I went out again. So when I guess everything was over, I was in another room, but I noticed I could hear everything going on around me, but I couldn't move anything. I was completely paralyzed. And I heard on the right side of me a hmm, hmm, like something was breathing beside me. I later found out that this was a machine that was breathing for me. I was on life support. I went in to have a baby and I ended up on life support. So I don't know how long, I heard this breathing. But as I heard this breathing, I said, Lord, in my mind, Lord, no one else can hear me. No one knows what's going to happen. But I want to ask you to forgive me for all of my sins, all of my shortcomings. I want you to please take care of my children. And I thought I came in here pregnant. If I did come in here pregnant, please, Lord, take care of the baby. Now, in my mind, because things are all scrambled up, I'm not hearing anybody talk about this baby girl. And for years, I had wanted another baby girl because I had two boys in between this last child that I had. So I just went out. But as I went out, I was talking to the Lord. So when I woke up, finally, all of my family was standing around me. And they said, she's about to wake up. She's about to wake up. So I opened my eyes, but there was a tube down my throat. And there was excruciating pain to my right arm. And I heard my mother saying, why is her arm burned? Why is her arm burned? How can you go in an OR to have a baby, just a C-section, and her arm be burned and come out on life support? What's going on here? And she was in tears. And I saw my sister, rubbing my mother's back, trying to console her. So I don't know how much time went by, but they were trying to remove the tubes out of my throat, But every time they tried to remove them, I couldn't breathe. So finally, they moved me to ICU. I stayed in there for a while, and I went back out. While I was out, I heard two nurses talking. And now, mind you, I can't move anything, but I can hear everything. And I heard one nurse say, the doctor thinks I'm going to be the one to give her propofol, but I'm not going to give her propofol. And they asked the family to leave out of the room at this time, and the nurses rushed back in. I'm not going to give her propofol. The doctor knows they infected her with pneumonia when he took that tube out the first time. He should have gotten a new tube, and that propofol will suppress her breathing. My mind automatically went to Michael Jackson. I remembered looking up the medication, propofol, and that it does suppress the breathing. So all I could move was my big toe, my right toe. And I was trying to alert them that I couldn't breathe, and if they gave me propofol, they were going to kill me. And I wanted them to know that I was asthmatic. I had breathing problems. But instead of them realizing that I was trying to get their attention, they thought I was having a seizure. So the one nurse, which was a black nurse, said, no, she's not seizing out. Her toe is just jumping. So the other nurse said, well, if you're not going to give her the propofol, I'm not going to give it to her either. But if the doctor wants her to have it, he's going to have to be the one to administer it to her. And the other nurse says, and if he does, she's going to die. So I just continue to talk to the Lord in my mind and just ask him, Lord Jesus, please, Lord, let them know that I am alive and that I want to live. And please don't let them give me this medication. Boom, I went back out. So finally, I woke up and I was able to write. And I asked them, was I pregnant? Did I have a baby? Did she live? And they told me, yes, you had a baby. Yes, you were pregnant. And your baby girl did live. Um, 3 weeks went by. I was in the ICU. I finally did get to go see my little girl. She did have some breathing issues, and they said they didn't know what kind of issues that she was going to have because she had lack of oxygen to her brain for such a long period of time, because I wasn't breathing and they didn't expect me to be on life support. They didn't know if she had brain damage, what type of issues she was going to have. And she was born at 31 or 32 weeks. I know it was 7 months. So once I got out of the hospital, which was about 3 weeks or a month, I went up and I went to see her every day, and I would hold her, but I could tell that she wasn't on point like she should have, but it didn't matter to me. I loved her the same. Finally, when um, she did come home on a heart monitor. She did come home on a breathing machine. But everything seemed to be going okay. I ran back and forth to Johns Hopkins, and they diagnosed my baby with cerebral palsy. She wasn't meeting any of her milestones. She was like 7 months old, and she couldn't sit up, like in a walker or anything. And when she did sit up in the walker, she couldn't move it, and she was always on her toes. Her feet felt like cement. So she did a lot of physical therapy. She was in physical therapy 3 times a week. I was back and forth to Hopkins to make sure she could see. She failed her hearing test. It was just like every test that she was having, she was failing. So I just kept praying and praying and praying and just reminding God, Lord, this is what I wanted. I wanted a baby girl. And you've made many promises to me. You told me that you are the great physician. You told me that by your stripes we are healed. And I would anoint her feet and pray over her, nonstop. So we went to, now 2 years had gone by, she still wasn't walking. So we went to, but she could crawl. So we went to a healing service. At the healing service, we were called up. And the pastor laid hands on her and said, everything that the enemy tried to steal from this baby, restoration. right now. And she did like a joke. And I just began to cry because I knew at that moment that God was true to his word. He said that weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. The next week, when the physical therapist came, for whatever reason, to them, they said, we're not going to be coming back anymore. Her feet just seemed to have loosened up on their own, which I already knew that God had done something great. 2 days later, my daughter called me on the phone and she was screaming and crying in my ear. There's like 16 years between the two children. And she said, Mom, Nye walked. Nye is walking. And so I turned my car around and I went back home, and I had bought these little shoes that every time her feet would hit the floor, if she would walk, they would squeak. And when I walked in the door, I heard the shoe squeaking. I heard the shoe squeaking. She was walking. She was walking by herself, not in a walker. She was walking. And right now, today, um, she's perfect. She's perfect. A child that they said would have braces on her feet forever. A child that they said would have the crutches and the braces, and that she probably would be special ed because she wouldn't meet any of her milestones, is in regular classes, um, honor roll student, doesn't need any special help, completely on task, walks by herself. And when I tell her story eventually, she's not going to believe it. You know, I haven't pulled out anything to show her or to tell her because she's only 9 right now. But I just want to encourage you, people of God, that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning, that we serve a God that doesn't lie, nor the Son of Man that he should ever have to repent. He is a true God. He is a God of his word. He is not just the God of the Old Testament that split the Red Sea. He is not just the God of the New Testament that healed the woman with the issue of blood, that turned water into wine, that delivered the men in the tombs, because there were 2 men, not just one, that delivered the men with legions. But he is a right now, on time God. So, people of God, this is Pastor Nikki. Whatever your situation is, hold on to God's unchanging hand, because God is a God of truth. And you can stand on his promises when you can't trust anybody else, when everything looks bleak. Continue to hold on to God's unchanging hand. This is Pastor Nikki. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, like, leave a comment. I thank you guys so much for your support. God bless you. Have a beautiful and wonderful weekend. And do it on purpose, because God is awesome. God bless you, people of God and dear heart.